Hi, this is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can taper your right angle weave in order to accommodate a tube clasp. So I have a clasp right here, and this is a really unique clasp because the rings are sort of facing sideways as opposed to up and down here. So we're going to be using this clasp, but I want to attach it to my right angle weave. So instead of kind of smooshing it in there and really trying to just like wiggle it down for a little bit of a tighter fit there, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to sort of taper it, and it works really nicely with this striped pattern, so you get a really nice sort of finished chevron kind of look there because it comes right down to that point. So it's actually really easy. So no matter where you finished your right angle weave, you just need to get it so that it's coming out of the center of the top one there, or I'm sorry, the top of the center one. So what I've done here is I've done 3 little units, so that's how wide my piece is. You might need to adjust yours, but I'm just going to do it for just adding 1 little bead there. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to follow my pattern. So if I was adding another unit, I would add a black bead first. So I'm going to string that all the way down. And then the next bead that I would add would also be a black bead. But before I add that, I'm going to go through that first loop there of my tube clasp, slide that down, and we're going to kind of see that it'll start to come together there. Now I'm going to pick up my next black bead, and what I want to do is I want to slide it down all the way so that it sits right inside of my little clasp there. And then I'm going to sneak my needle through that second loop there, and kind of pull that down together. So I'll kind of turn around and show you what we're working with. So we added 1 black bead, went through the loop, added the other black bead, went through the loop, and now we're going to add on one of our little pinky purple beads here, and we're going to slide that down. And now we're going to kind of continue our little loop. So I'm going to pick it up for a second so I can go through the bead that we were coming out of, that purple bead right there. And I'm going to pull that together, and now we've attached our clasp. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go around and I'm going to reinforce it at least once more. So go through that top bead there, down through the first hole, the bead, and the second hole of the clasp. Pull that tight, and I'm going to come over through my pink bead. Now, what I'm going to do now is to reinforce it even further is I have a little gap right here where my needle is, where there's no thread. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go down through this first black bead here so that I can create a nice little bridge there so that it gives it a little bit more stability. So now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my needle and I'm just going to kind of go around through some of these little units here. And just keep following the path of your right angle weave, not making any extra thread bridges. And so now what I want to do is I'm working it up through the first bead that we started with there. I'm going to go around the top. So now we're playing with this unit here. And what I'm doing is I'm just working that needle over to the side, where I can then kind of repeat what I just did on the top here. All right, so now you can see that I'm coming down through that second black bead, and I'm missing that thread bridge right there. So now I'm going to turn, and I'm going to go into the first black bead that I added when I was adding my little clasp. And now we'll get the chance to kind of go through one more time, just to reinforce that. And over. And then take it all the way up there. Whoops, just through that pink bead. Don't want to create any unnecessary thread bridges. All right, so that is how you can complete one side. And now I'm just going to go behind one of these little thread bridges, make a little loop so I can tie off a little knot. There we go. And I'm just going to go over one more bead there and just repeat that. Going underneath a little thread bridge there. And tie myself another little knot. And I'm going to go up through this one. And then I would just trim off my thread, and then you can move to the other side. But that is how you can get a nice little tapered look, and you just kind of keep that whole pattern going so it's nice and seamless. And when you put it all together, it's a really great little look there, because you can actually get a nice, little finishing technique that's happening on the back of your bracelet there. And what's nice is this is also an easy way to, let's say you didn't want to extend your bead weaving, but you just kind of wanted to taper it down to the ends. So you get a nice good full inch and a quarter there to play with, just to add the clasp. So it's a really nice little finished look, especially with this sort of striped pattern. Of course, you can do this with any right angle weave you want. Just also be aware that you can choose a clasp that has different rings. We have 3, 4, 5, so however wide your pieces or however many beads or spaces you have, you can accommodate the same style with a different number of loop clasp. All right, you can find all of these supplies and see even more tutorial videos by heading over to Beadaholique.com.